So, our fitness instructor thinks that the taller you are, the fewer press-ups you can do. Short people can do more press-ups. What do you think? Do you believe this one? So here's the first question, getting off to a nice straightforward start by asking how many people did Ruth include in her analysis, where we simply count the number of pairs of data points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 people in her analysis. Okay, so now we've got to test her belief. And as I said, her belief is that the taller people are, the fewer press-ups they can do. So when we start, we have to start by stating the null and alternate hypotheses. And the null hypothesis is that there's no correlation between height and the number of press-ups. That's the status quo. So the null hypothesis is that there's no correlation between height and the number of press-ups. So we put that into an equation by saying R, which is the product moment correlation coefficient, is equal to 0. What about the alternate hypothesis then? Well, like I said, Ruth is saying that there's a negative correlation, fewer press-ups for taller people. The alternate hypothesis, H1, is that there's a negative correlation and R is less than 0, the product moment correlation coefficient again. So I'm putting height on the x-axis and number of press-ups on the y-axis. Not that I'm drawing this, I'm not going to draw a scatter graph. That's simply to get the x and the y figures right when you put them into a calculator. From the tables, you should be able to find that the critical value at 5% with 12 in your sample, the critical value is 0.4963. But because we're looking at negative correlation, the critical value is minus 0.4963. So for us to have a significant result, the value of the correlation coefficient of our actual data would have to be smaller than minus 0.4963. It'd have to be something like minus 0.5 or minus 0.6. These values, if we found these values would be significant and would be in the critical region. So we pop all of that data into our calculator, and the value of R that we calculate is minus 0.3276, which is bigger than minus 0.4963. It's not in the critical region. And so there's insufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis and indeed to accept the alternate hypothesis. So there is not a negative correlation between height and number of press-ups based on this sample, Ruth's sample of 12 people. Okay, there we are.